We've all got habits, right? But what if for millions of us, a habit isn't just a habit? What if it's a secret? A whole double life, driven by an invisible force that you just can't say no to. This isn't a subplot from a thriller movie. For so many people, it's the quiet, daily battle with a hidden addiction. When you hear the word addiction, your mind probably jumps to the dramatic stereotypes you've seen on TV. But the real story of addiction is a lot broader and way more concealed. Anyone can get caught in its grip. Community leaders, doctors and nurses, your friends, and even your family. These addictions are often behavioral, and they stay hidden, quietly getting worse over time. They're marked by a fierce craving, a compulsion to keep doing the thing, and an inability to stop, no matter how bad the fallout gets. This is the psychology behind the secret compulsions we just can't seem to quit. 1. The secret world of addiction. So what exactly makes an addiction hidden? It really boils down to one powerful feeling: shame. The fear of being judged, of losing your job, or wrecking your relationships is what forces these behaviors into the shadows, creating a stressful and exhausting double life. Hidden addictions generally fall into two buckets. First, you have the substance addictions we're all familiar with: alcohol, opioids, or prescription drugs. But there's another category that's growing fast: behavioral addictions. And this is where it gets really interesting. We're talking about an uncontrollable urge to gamble, to shop, to work, to exercise, or just get lost on the internet. A meta-analysis published in 2022 suggests the overall prevalence for behavioral addictions is about 11% globally. While gambling is currently the only one officially recognized as a disorder in the DSM-5, others like internet, shopping, and gaming addiction are being taken more seriously for their destructive power. These aren't just bad habits. They're compulsive behaviors that people can't control, often used to numb underlying emotional pain, stress, or trauma. 2. The addicted brain. Why can't someone with an addiction just stop? It's not about a lack of willpower. It's about brain chemistry. Addictive behaviors and substances can flood the brain with dopamine, a chemical tied to pleasure and reward. Over time, this literally rewires the brain, making normal life feel less enjoyable and creating a compulsive, intense drive to chase that high again and again. This process messes with critical parts of the brain, like the prefrontal cortex, which is your command center for decision-making and impulse control. When that area is compromised, the ability to weigh consequences and control compulsions tanks. On top of that, some people might have what's called a reward deficiency. This means their brain's reward system is naturally a bit underactive, making them more likely to seek out intense experiences from things like drugs or obsessive behaviors. It's a vicious cycle. You use the behavior to escape bad feelings, but that rewires your brain to crave more, leading to a loss of control that feels impossible to escape. 3. From coping mechanism to crisis. A hidden addiction almost always starts as a way to cope. Loneliness might lead someone down an internet rabbit hole, or intense work stress could spiral into workaholism. But pretty soon, tolerance builds. You need to do it more and more just to get the same emotional escape. This causes you to pull away from friends and family and neglect responsibilities, which just adds more fuel to the fire of shame and secrecy. Take gambling addiction, for example, which affects millions of US adults each year. It's often driven by mental traps, like the gambler's fallacy, that bogus belief that a losing streak has to be followed by a big win. Or think about shopping addiction, which impacts up to 8% of people worldwide and can lead to disastrous debt. Even something that seems healthy, like exercise, can turn into a compulsion, with some studies showing a prevalence rate of around 3 to 7% in the exercising population. These behaviors aren't choices. They are the symptoms of a much deeper issue, a brain fighting a battle against its own altered chemistry. Recognizing the signs is the first real step to breaking the cycle. If any of this is sounding familiar, for you or for someone you care about, the most effective, evidence-based treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT is a form of psychotherapy that helps you pinpoint the destructive thought patterns that fuel the addiction. It helps you build healthier ways to cope and, ultimately, take back control. Therapists everywhere specialize in this approach, and you can do it one-on-one, in a group, or even online. The power of a hidden addiction comes from the silence and secrecy it's wrapped in. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Understanding the psychology behind it all, the mix of emotional pain, brain chemistry, and compulsive behavior, is how we start to dismantle the shame. It allows us to see addiction for what it is, not a moral failing, but a treatable condition. By dragging these secrets into the light, we can finally begin the journey to healing.